In the 1930s, Ruby Ross Wood was undisputably the most famous interior designer of her time, creating rooms for America's wealthiest families, including the Vanderbilts and Astors. But for as grand as some of her designs were, Ruby's personal home was truly a treasure trove of creative thinking. Hi everyone, Ken here. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. Ruby's path to decorating fame began far from the gilded halls of New York. She was born Ruby Ross Pope in 1881 in Monticello, Georgia, the daughter of a cotton broker and a family with proud colonial American roots. Despite her genteel lineage, Ruby's childhood in the South was a world away from the cosmopolitan design circles she would later dominate. As a young woman with a creative spark, Ruby initially pursued writing. In the early 1900s, she moved to New York City and then Boston to work as a journalist, writing fiction, poetry, and magazine articles. A turning point came in 1910 when Ruby landed an unusual writing gig, ghostwriting for the legendary decorator Elsie de Wolfe. De Wolfe was among America's first famous interior designers, and she needed help penning articles about decorating. Ruby's task was to translate de Wolfe's lectures into engaging articles for the Delineator, a popular women's magazine. She did such a good job that those articles became the basis for de Wolfe's influential book, The House in Good Taste, a cornerstone of early 20th century interior design literature. Through this project, Ruby absorbed de Wolfe's design philosophy and made valuable connections in high society. It was an ironic start. The woman who had become a celebrated designer got her first big break writing under someone else's name, but it set the stage for her own voice to emerge. Armed with knowledge and growing passion, Ruby tried to strike out on her own in design. In 1913, she published The Honest House, a book on tasteful homemaking, but it met with only modest success. Undeterred, she boldly opened a decorating business called the Modernist Studio around 1914, hoping to introduce cutting-edge European modern design to New York. This venture proved ahead of its time. Most New Yorkers weren't ready for such experimental decor, and the business failed. Ruby's first true foot in the door came soon after, in a more traditional setting. She joined the venerable John Wanamaker department store in New York, where she took over the interior decorating studio known as Belle Maison. Starting in 1918, Ruby managed this elite design salon, and for the next few years, she honed her craft decorating model rooms and advising wealthy clients through Wanamakers. This job was a crash course in the practical side of interior design, from sourcing antiques and fabrics to pleasing demanding patrons, and it expanded her network of suppliers and society clients. By the late 1920s and 1930s, Ruby Ross Wood had built a thriving decorating empire, counting some of America's richest families among her clientele. She worked on homes for names like the Vanderbilts and Blairs, a sure sign that she had arrived at the top of her profession. Ruby's design philosophy and personality set her apart from her peers. She believed that creating a beautiful room was as much an art as a science, famously declaring, "The final judgment in decorating is not the logic of the mind, but the logic of the eye." In other words, trust your taste over any rigid rules, a principle that resonated with her affluent clients who wanted homes that were elegant but also personal. Her rooms often balanced comfort with a sense of history. She might pair a sleek contemporary lamp with a Louis XVI chair, or lay a bold Moroccan rug under Chippendale tables. This blend of old-world charm and select modern touches gave her interiors a timeless, curated quality that drew admirers. In 1927, Ruby and her husband, Chalmers Wood, commissioned what would become Little Ipswich, a mansion set on 43 acres of lush land in Woodbury, Long Island. The estate's whimsical name, Little Ipswich, was a nod to Chalmers Wood's boyhood home of Ipswich, Massachusetts, but there was nothing little about the project's ambitions. Ruby, ever the design connoisseur, took an active role in planning the house, ensuring it would be a showplace for both architecture and interior design. To bring their vision to life, the Woods hired the prominent New York firm of Delano Aldrich, renowned for elegant classical architecture. Ruby had clear ideas and even gave the architects historic inspiration. One striking feature of Little Ipswich is that it was built entirely on one level, a sprawling one-story mansion stretching out amid the gardens. This was at Ruby's insistence, as she desired soaring ceilings in every room without the interruption of an upper floor. Inside Little Ipswich, Ruby Ross Wood's knack for dramatic yet livable interiors was on full display. Visitors stepping through the front door found themselves in an awe-inspiring central hall beneath the Great Dome. The rotunda-like foyer was laid out with perfect symmetry, harkening back to classical ideals of design. Beyond the foyer, each room in Little Ipswich reflected Ruby's curated, cosmopolitan style. The living room, for instance, was legendary among her circle. It featured walls paneled in wood up to the ceiling, with delicate carvings and built-in shelves that displayed Ruby's treasured collection of Chinese figurines and old porcelain. Rather than sticking to one period or style, Ruby mixed furnishings from various eras and origins. A French director chair, circa 1790, upholstered in old tapestry, sat comfortably near an Italian lacquer cabinet with brass lion's head pulls. On the other side, an English Regency Meridian sofa covered in rich maroon brocade held court, piled with satin and velvet pillows for comfort. The color scheme of deep maroons, soft tans, and beiges was pulled together by an exquisite Aubusson carpet, one of several in Ruby's possession, woven with swan and scroll patterns that echoed the home's recurring motif. In the library, she wrapped all 4 walls in floor-to-ceiling pine bookcases, unifying all the vertical elements with a band of uninterrupted dental molding. Once again, we see mixed and matched styles spanning centuries and regions apart, all coming together to create a sophisticated and eclectic environment. Ruby's own bedroom in the mansion was another showplace of personal luxury. She capitalized on the high ceilings to create a Tremont effect, placing a large mirror and a carved relief panel above the fireplace like one might see in an old Parisian townhouse. The floor of her bedroom was itself a conversation piece. Oak planks salvaged from a French manor house arranged in an inlaid geometric pattern with strips of white olive wood and ebony. Ruby's story, however, met an all-too-human ending. In the late 1940s, her health began to decline. She had been a lifelong chain smoker and tragically passed of lung cancer in 1950 at the age of 68. But the mansion itself lived on, at least for a few more decades. In 1995, despite any efforts or hopes for preservation, the estate was demolished to make way for modern development. The once sprawling 43 acres of lawns and gardens were subdivided, and eventually a neighborhood known as the Peroni Estates was built on the land. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. What did you think about Little Ipswich? Did anything stick out to you? Let me know down below in the comments section. And while you're there, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an exciting episode of This House.